Thanks for tuning into Wellthy, guys. My name is Derek.
Did you almost forget your name just there?
Yep. No, I didn't.
Okay.
My name is Derek Spawn. I am one of the hosts of Wellthy, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
Hi.
Hey.
So thanks for tuning in, guys. Today we have an awesome episode. If you are tuning in for the first time ever, welcome. And just so you know what we're all about, Hannah and I are both professionals in the finance and not fitness, but I would say wellness is what you're more focused on because you are much broader than fitness. So we're both professionals in those respective industries.
We are not professionals in both industries, though. Derek is the professional in the finance industry, and I, Hannah, am the professional in the wellness fitness industry. So not to get confused that we're...
That's why we say in those respective industries, because I said my name first and then finance first. That's why that's used.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that. I
It's
apologize. Okay, that's my bad.
Maybe the listeners heard it because they're listening.
Great.
I'm just kidding.
Cool.
Anyways, guys, so that's what we're coming from. And the purpose of the podcast is we decided, we in our industries, we see so many misconceptions. We see people struggling every day to try to figure it out. How do I do this as a normal person without having to become an expert myself?
Or to spend 4 hours a day dedicated to my goals or something. Yeah,
exactly. So we decided to take what we have learned from our work, from our life, from all of our experiences, and kind of condense it down into a format that we can show others, because we do teach people in our jobs and we wanted to be able to reach more people. So if this is you want to learn more about how to get wealthy and how to improve your wellness in your life, all facets and aspects of it, you've come to the right place. So today we are going to hit on a pretty big topic that is very common, I think, everywhere today's world. This is huge. But we wanted to talk about comparing yourself to others, whether it be your fitness. I think that is a obvious one. People comparing bodies, and then obviously money as well, right? People saying, oh, look what they have and what I don't have and stuff like that. So we'll keep it to a discussion. It's not one of our more practical episodes. We're going to say step 1, step 2, step 3, like we have in the past. We wanted to just share our personal experiences and just see where we go with this. How have we helped people with this? Hannah, did you want to start us off a little bit on some of your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, I think comparing ourselves to others is a huge epidemic in every area. We can name all the different areas you have the potential to compare yourself to someone all over the place. I don't think it's limited to fitness. I don't think it's limited to finance. It could find you in the workplace. It could find you at the food court. It could find you anywhere. I don't know.
So someone's lunch looks more tasty than mine.
No, or I'm saying, wow, that person took down 3 pieces of Sabro pizza.
Whoa.
I think I should have done more. I don't know. Maybe it's like a whole Panda Express competition. Like, how many entrees can you get? I don't know.
Depends if it's orange chicken, right?
I'm personally a fan of the sweet fire chicken, but I see where I see what you're saying.
Can respect the differences.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that comparing ourselves to others is huge right now, and not in a good way. It's not a good fad to be a part of. And I think personally it's unnecessary and a really hurtful game that we allow ourselves to participate in, essentially. Similar to gossiping. I think it's just a toxic way of thinking and a toxic mindset to allow ourselves to be in. But what's interesting is that we're not even getting really outwardly influenced by a lot of people like gossip. We don't have to rely on someone reaching out and being like, oh my gosh, did you hear about so-and-so? Usually we just are the creators of the comparison in our own head. And while we might have, content to compare to, it at least, it unfortunately comes from ourselves and internally. So, and it can cause us to think and believe lies about ourselves. And maybe we heard those things from somewhere at one point, but we somehow still live in those lies. A really good book that I'm reading right now, it's called Girl, Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. Shout out to her and that amazing book. If you've never read it, go pick it up, order it from Amazon, whatever you got to do, just get your hands on it because it is such a good book. And it's really all about this portion. I mean, not really the comparing yourself to others, that's part of it, but it's really discussing and calling out the lies we've been taught, but then the lies we continue to tell ourselves throughout our lives. So
what in that book, when it talks about the lies and stuff, where do those lies come from? What is it? Does she talk about like, oh, they originate? Is it from like the media? Is it from people we know, our own lies? Like, does she specify? Is it kind of from everywhere? Like, I mean,
so every chapter is a different example of a lie we've told ourselves. So one of them is like, you're not good enough, you know? And so that could be something that you were told by somebody, or it was communicated in some way by somebody else, or the media. It's not limited to just one place. Okay. You know, she gives her personal examples, but then she also is very aware that there are other situations that people are involved in, which is really cool. But yeah, so comparison is a completely different idea to what we've talked about recently. That being self-evaluation. And self-evaluation is important in any stage of progress, but it doesn't need to involve the comparison of yourself to other people, especially strangers on the internet that you have no personal connection to or know what they've actually gone through to get there. There's sneaky ways to be tempted to fall into the habit and routine of comparison. And if you notice that you are particularly tempted to compare yourself, recognize it and change your mindset and your habits. And don't completely try to avoid situations of comparison altogether. We can talk more about these in depth as we go. And I just want to remind us that we are all at different stages, and you, no matter how small or how big you are in the grand scheme of things, you can't escape the temptation. Like, no one is above, that's a better way to say it. No one is above the temptation to compare yourself to others. You know, you could be at the very, very beginning of whatever journey you're starting. You can be, and then looking forward at people who have it made and have the car you want or the house you want or the body that you want. You can be in the middle of your journey, you know, still looking forward or even comparing yourself to other people in the middle of their journey and have frustration that way. Or you can also be at the end of your journey, either looking back and kind of being that a-hole, being like, well, I came from so far. Look at that person at the gym that looks like they've never been there before, which personally, I have the biggest Robin Hood complex about that whole idea of just like, don't be that person that's rude to new people at the gym or new people ever in general. And then, I mean, can you think of any other situations that people might compare themselves, like beginning, middle, and that jazz?
I just think I think there's too many to really mention, you know? It's kind of infinite examples. You know, we can compare anything and everything. I think going back to what you said, though, about it being a temptation that you can't avoid. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that rather, you know, because I don't know if it comes from religious backgrounds or whatever, but people just saying, you know, don't compare, don't judge. Like, I get it. And it's a noble thing to say, like, don't ever compare yourself to other people. But at the same time, I think it's unavoidable. And I think what really needs to be said is it's about how you handle that comparison. It's okay to say, look at that person, look at me. There are differences that I'm acknowledging.
Yeah.
But that is where it's not look at that person, look at me, therefore they are better than me. Therefore they, you know, some whatever it is inherently, or they've earned it, or they're blessed or lucky, or you know what I mean? Anything that creates a negative emotion in you is the wrong way to handle comparison.
So what you're saying is that comparing yourself to others has a negative connotation, but there could potentially be a positive way.
Yeah, no, totally. So, yeah, like I said, it's unavoidable and it's more about how you handle it. Okay. So if you're listening and everything, okay, great. If I can't avoid it and it's about how I handle it, then what do I do? So in my mind, this is how I handle this kind of stuff. It's, for me personally, I'm a very competitive person, and the comparison side of things actually motivates me. So when I was a beginner at things, whether it was I was a very beginner, let's take the gym, for example, going to work out, years and years ago. Yep. I was a beginner myself, and going to the gym, I would see other guys there working out and comparing myself to them. And oh my gosh, they look so strong, or they're in such great shape, or look what they can do, whatever it was. For me, I had a little bit of like, oh man, like I wish I looked that way, but that was a motivator for me. It didn't keep me from going to the gym. I didn't say, well, I don't look like that guy, so I better just not go at all, or else I might feel bad. Well, I felt, if I felt bad, it was because I wasn't doing what I needed to do to get where I wanted to go. So that's what I think people kind of confuse this whole thing. They take, oh, I feel bad when I go to the gym because I look at everyone else around me and they seem so much further ahead or better than me. I'm not going to go because going to the gym makes me sad. So you're going to stop doing the thing that is going to fix the problem of why you're sad. You're sad because you're not where you want to be. And you're just saying it's because everyone else around you is better. That's just a fact of life. If someone's in better shape than you, they can run faster, they can lift heavier weight, whatever it may be. That's a fact, regardless of you going to the gym and acknowledging it or not. Because that person will be faster than you, or whatever your example is. You're feeling bad because deep down you're not doing anything about it.
Well, and I mean, they're going to be faster than you or stronger than you, as long as you keep not putting in the work to work on yourself. And I mean, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from with having comparison be a fueling force. There have been times that I've needed to do that as well. I think for the average Joe, and the average
Joette,
Jocelyn,
Josephina.
I think there are women named Joe as well. So
that's true.
Yeah.
There was wasn't there one in Scrubs? We really liked her. She was kind of the tomboy, spunky blonde.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Anyways, if you're Joe out there, man or woman, you're cool.
Yeah. I mean, you're above average. But I think for the majority of maybe our listeners, we struggle with that. We're maybe not as far along as you are in your mindset of being able to use the comparison constructively to motivate. So what are some tools, like if you are that person, going to the gym, wanting to stop because it's a negative thing, what could someone do instead?
I think what they need to do, it's not even instead, it's what they need to do regardless, is to make a plan. Too many people nowadays, whether it's fitness or anything in life, they say this insert situation here is making me unhappy. I wish this, I want that, yada, yada. And instead of saying, well, if I want this, I need to do that, they say, well, I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to not deal with it anymore. Or I'm going to try to bring that other person down in some situations, which that drives me nuts. A lot of people, they say, well, that person over there, they use steroids. Okay, really? You're going to like tear people down because you're not where you want to be. Don't stop worrying about what other people are doing. If you see someone at the gym, honestly, I am guilty of that. When I first started lifting and really kind of getting some momentum and getting where I wanted to go, I would look at guys that were in better shape than me. Just, oh my gosh, well, that dude must be using, he's using something. And it's like, or he is a hard worker. or he puts in the time, or maybe his diet is low. You know what I mean? There's so many things. Like you said, we have no idea their situation. And we don't know what they've done to maybe have earned their situation. They have put in the work. And now that I have put in enough time, I'm, I would say at least 5 years down the road from my kind of, fitness journey. I'm that far along that I can look back and say, wow, how dumb and arrogant of me, because now I've put in the work to get where I want to be. And I'm still going to where I want to be further down the road. But
you're so much farther than when you started.
Yeah. And if someone ever looked at me, and I definitely don't look like a guy that you could accuse of using steroids, but if someone for some reason did, I would be so offended, because I'd say, you have no idea how many early mornings, late nights, and everything else I've had to go through and put in, how many times driving to the gym I've said, I can't do this anymore. This is pointless. I don't know why I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Those discouraging thoughts and moments and days that I've been there and said, screw it. You don't know where I've been. So don't judge me and say that I've cheated. And that's the reason why, I am where I am, when it's been my hard work. So,
yeah.
But I mean, for someone actually to get back to your original question though, for someone actually saying, oh my gosh, Chessie has a squeak toy, everybody. So we have a dog, and we're not going to kick him out of the room. He has to be everywhere with us. So if you hear a little squeak or heavy breathing, that's him.
Or me if I have a stuffy nose. But tonight it's him. It's him.
That could be it. So back to your question though, and then we can move on. What can someone do? I think they just need to take action. It will make them feel better. It will make them feel like they have a plan. They have a resolution. I have this problem. I'm going to do this about it. And then they can go do it. And then they feel like they're actually finding a solution to what's making them sad, instead of finding a way to run away from it. But because that just compounds and adds, I think, guilt on top of it, because they know they're not doing what they really should do.
Yeah.
So
refer to episodes 4 and 5, both of the getting started episodes.
Yeah.
I think, that's huge. I think comparing yourself won't ever make you better. Like, in the negative connotation of comparing yourself.
Well, not in and of itself.
Yeah. And I don't think it'll ever make you like the person you're comparing yourself to either. Like, just the bare minimum action of just comparing yourself, like, that does you no good, right? It absolutely does just bad. If you are being negative about it, if you are being, rough with yourself about it, not giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, or truly assessing your situation of where you're at and then going forward from there. I think it's important to understand that comparing yourself is kind of like with others, or your situation with another person's, is kind of a stupid thing to do, unless you can, change your mindset and use it to better yourself. But I mean, I think putting a plan to action is absolutely huge, like you mentioned. Yeah. And,
I think as well, like if you're just beginning and maybe you've had these comparisons, which we all do, right? Instead of saying like you said, it's not going to foster a good relationship with that person. So if it's someone you're just damaging a relationship that you don't want to lose. So rather than picking someone to compare yourself and then it creates this negative relationship, how about you pick a role model instead? There are guys that I follow on social media that I think started out at first of me saying, like, just through jealousy and like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to follow these guys. I hate these guys. But now I'm to the point of saying, no, I like what they're doing. They have results I want to have. And now they're more role models. Now I'm trying to do what they're doing in a smart way of within my limits and capabilities, and kind of just trying to model, okay, well, this is what they do. I'm not going to mirror it exactly, because they're different people with different bodies and lifestyles, but what lessons can I learn from what they're doing? And to make this super specific, we talked about how my goal for the year, we talked about goals and all that. My goal for the year is to get under 15% body fat, right? One of the guys I follow, he does a lot of HIIT workouts. And from what I've read and to go with my intermittent fasting and things, like HIIT is going to do me wonders, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing, just high speed workouts and whatnot. So I don't do exactly what he does, but I just pull ideas and maybe an exercise here and there, or just the general concept of that type of a workout. And so instead of having a negative relationship with him, he's now more of a role model and something I can shoot for and smartly model and apply to what I can do.
Yeah, and I really like that you brought up the fact of like smartly using someone's end goal to shape your current actions. Because I think a lot of people with their role models, they want to start doing exactly what their role model is doing right in the moment. And a lot of role models really take advantage of that, unfortunately. Like I'm thinking, shout out to all the Insta celebrities that just promote skinny teas, and they, either they were blessed with amazing genetics, which we can't hate them for that. Like good on you. Like I'm glad your parents made you this Greek goddess, or they put in the 8 years of, calorie restriction, working your butt off in the gym, working on that deficit, all that. But then now they're promoting skinny tea. And,
we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting. And I think it's high to prioritize who you choose as a role model and what you choose to learn from them. I mean, granted, like you can totally follow and love the girls that do that, but just remember that that's not how they got to where they're at.
Right.
Well,
remember the trend. We had an episode on trends and fads, right? Yeah. And so it's so sad to see, though, like you said, these people that do the good things, and instead of promoting the good lessons like we're trying to promote and adding to that culture, they kind of almost sell out in a way and just, revert to, well, as a sponsor, the get quick thing, even though that's not what I did.
Yeah. And I think it's just false advertising where they could actually help the world,
Right.
And, I mean, I'm not one to judge, and I'm definitely not one to critique them and what they're doing. Like if they feel like they're living their purpose, like good on them. But like, I just know I would feel really crappy if I was selling something that I knew wouldn't actually benefit people, because it didn't benefit me. Like if it's kind of fraudulent, but yeah. So all I'm saying is like, choose your role models wisely and choose why they're your role model, even wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in quick, and I'm actually going to disagree with one thing you said, though.
Okay.
Which we haven't done this really much on the podcast, but I think it's going to come out, though, because you and I have very different opinions on things.
On a lot of things.
So you said what they're doing, good on them if that's what they're. No, I say not good on them. You're not helping people. No, I'm just saying, though, let me get it out and then rebuttal or whatever your thoughts are. I know that we need to be positive, so let's not bash on people and say they're dumb and all this stuff, even though me personally, I would say I think it is dumb because they could, one, make a bigger impact. When you make an impact, you help people. When you make an impact and help people, then they can make the money they're trying to make by promoting fit tea. Or I saw one the other day, happy tea, happiness tea. Are you kidding me? Like
there's a tea for everything.
There needs to be, anyway. Yeah, it just drives me nuts. And, I don't wish ill on these people, but I wish them the best, that they pull their heads out. And, go help someone. You don't need, don't sell out and take the get rich quick. They got fit. It's amazing to me that some of these people, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Like you said, they put in years, a decade plus of work and achieve the goals that they want with their fitness and their health. And it's like, wow. And then they turn around and sell out. This is like, how have you not learned the lesson along the way that hard work, dedication, discipline, and time combined creates amazing results that other people want to replicate? Why don't you take that and take the facts that you learned? Oh yeah, hard work. It's like, what, are you tired? No, you're still 28 years old, 26 years old, younger for some of these people, and take that and make something out of it and build your brand, make something that's going to last, go help people. Don't. It's selfish in my mind because you're hoarding the lesson that you learned, and instead of using your platform as someone that has lots of followers or a following, whether you have reach, you can reach people, and you're consciously deciding to use your far reach for bad, to promote a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, and I get vulnerability is scary, and it's really scary for some people more than others, where it's they don't want to show the mountain that they had to climb. They just want to show themselves up at the top, and I get that, but it's too bad that it's so common. I agree with that.
If you're a person that is that kind of a person listening right now, just consider this as a little mind thought. Like, yeah, like you said, maybe you don't want to show the struggle, how far you came, because maybe you're a little embarrassed by it. No one's impressed if all we can see, it's like the tip of the iceberg thing. You're standing on the tip of the iceberg. If that's all we see, we say, yeah, I could have climbed that. If, that was my starting point, that's all I had to climb. Sure. People say, wow, when they see the entire iceberg or the entire mountain you climbed below the clouds, right? So imagine a little picture of the clouds and you're just on the summit and it's like, woo, great. It's like cool. People are like, oh, that's okay. That's nothing. You see the entire Mount Everest beneath the clouds, zoom out, and it's like, okay, now I'm impressed. Now I really want to hear you speak. What did you do? What are your thoughts? What are the lessons you learned along the way? But instead they're pigeonholing themselves into this little peak of like, this is what I did. And people say, oh, wow, clap for you. You're on top of the mountain. So,
and I can like truly speak to that when I lived in China, for a quick little blurb, I climbed like one of the top 5 tallest mountains in China.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it alone in the dark. My person left and went
separated
back
from the group.
No, I was my own group. And then
no, this is I like this. So this is cool. Keep going. Sorry.
But so in the dark, and I don't know if you've ever hiked a mountain in China, but they're paved paths all the way up that are like granite stone. So it's like you are doing this stair climber for 6+ hours in the dark with people hopping up over the stairs to go to the restroom. And then there are like random shops and restaurants and stuff on the way up. It's hilarious and awesome. But I did it all by myself with just my phone flashlight. And when I got to the top, I couldn't find anyone else in like the group that I traveled with. And so it was like the most desperate feeling ever. But then long story short is I eventually found people, and we all took the pictures at the top of the mountain. We were above the clouds. Like we watched the sunrise come up through the clouds. Like it was all this beautiful stuff. But then like in posting those pictures, like no one could care less of how high I actually climbed. And like,
yeah, no one knows.
No one.
For all they know, you drove to the top.
Exactly.
There's a parking lot outside the frame of the picture.
Which in China, that's totally happened.
So some people can take that shortcut to the top, but you didn't.
I didn't. And so it just sucks because here I didn't share throughout the journey of, yep, I had to go poop on the side of the walking path. And yeah, so all this stuff, and it makes me sad and kind of feel like I need to go do it over, just because like, not that I didn't get the accolades and the credit that I wanted or needed, but it's like.
But you feel good about it.
I feel good about it, but it almost feels like it didn't happen at the same time, where it's like, I wish I would have shared my journey instead of just the highlight when I got to the top.
Yeah. And I think that's perfect. Let me ask you a couple of questions about that though.
Uh-oh.
I think that are cool.
Okay.
So you're all alone.
Yeah.
And it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And you had a couple moments along the way that were embarrassing, going to the bathroom on the side of the trail.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that bad.
But it's probably awkward at least.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in my China career, I was more than halfway through where I had, in my experiences, like sat in a squatty potty women's bathroom stall, making eye contact with a Chinese woman squatting across from me as we both were going to the restroom. Like at that point, like
you guys
there was
a thumb war across the room.
No, like we were far away. Like
so, rock paper scissors.
Yeah, we could have done rock paper scissors, but there were no awkward bathroom situations after that. I mean, someone else climbing up the mountain in my group pooped on their leg. So that's awkward because everyone, when the sun came up, they were like, what's on your leg? And she's like, oh that's poop. But
point being though, is that you were on this journey. You were all by yourself there. You had this tiny little ice. You were scared. You're hoping you're on the right path. You don't know.
Yeah.
You're hoping. You're like, this is the path. It's a path that is going up.
And I was hoping the whole time to connect with someone else in my group.
You never did.
No, never did.
So
until the very, very top after the sun came up.
Right. I just hope people are making the connections that I'm making in my mind of just how this applies to your life and whatever journey you're on, is that it's, we want support, but it's probably going to be lonely.
Yeah.
We want there to be light. It's probably going to be dark with your little iPhone light. And that can be just your little hope, in your heart, hoping that, I hope what I'm doing is right. I hope I'm going the right direction. I can see a little bit. I can see enough to put one foot in front of the other.
Or motivation.
Or
honestly,
motivation, whatever it is. It's your little goal.
Bonfire. It's not this torch. It is a little tiny iPhone 4 light.
Yeah. And there's no like street lamps that guide you all the way. I can see the lights that go all the way. No. For all you know, you're walking to the edge of a cliff and about to fall off. But no, I'm just saying, though, just for the analogy's sake of we're on this journey and people get so scared of wondering that, oh, man, well, my friend, they took right up off this mountain. They started just running up the stairs and I couldn't do it. And they had a headlamp and a flashlight that showed them 100 feet in the front. They had brand new Nike trail running shoes. Like, you know what I mean? We can look at the other person on the trail with us and list the reasons of why they're going to make it. But in the end, if you just keep taking your freaking steps, you're still going to make it. Yeah. You may not make it as fast as them. You know what I mean? It may have been easier for them, but you learned more along the way. You grew more as a person. So when you got to the top, you appreciated that journey. And when you got to the top, you wanted to turn to someone and say, man, let me tell you about this. Let me tell like you did right now. We didn't plan on Hannah telling this story. But we get to a point that she said, I want to share this because someone else can learn from it. And let's take this other hypothetical made up person that's got all the gear and the things and everything's going to in their favor.
Or took the bus up.
Took the bus up, right? They're going to turn around. If someone asks them, hey, how do I climb that mountain? They're going to turn around and they're going to say, dude, take the bus. And think of everything you lose when you take the bus. Like, don't take the bus. The bus can be anything. Insert the get rich quick in the way, but just think that in those situations, the bus breaks down halfway. Like the bus doesn't really exist. You're at the bus stop waiting for the bus and it never goes. So I just thought this was an awesome story for what we're talking about, guys, is that there will be other people on your trail and wave to them, say, hey, good job. You're doing great, man. Yeah, keep going. Be positive.
Have you ever watched a marathon? Like, have you ever
they're like blood brothers.
But even the people on the streets that come out of their house at 6 o'clock in the morning to cheer on the first and to all the way to the very last, it makes me want to cry.
But imagine.
No, but seriously, these people that have nothing. Sorry, I don't know why this is making me emotional. Okay, Christmas trees that don't get bought at the end of the season make me emotional.
That's true.
No, oh my gosh, what a boob. But no, I mean, for these people to just come out of their house, have no reason to cheer on these people. Yet, if you've ever run a marathon, it makes your life. Like, you don't know who it is, but it's like that dude on mile 7 that, said, I love your haircut, or you've got it. You aren't halfway there, but you're gonna be, whatever it is. Like, that got you through. The person that was on mile 19 that it's, you are more than halfway through, just a couple more miles and it's going to feel so good. Think about the banana and the metal blanket at the end, whatever it is. But it's just like, they don't lose anything. The people who cheer on don't lose anything by just being cheerleaders.
I would argue that they gain.
I do too. And the people that it is infectious. I was talking with a girlfriend at coffee a couple weeks ago, and we were discussing how it's really awesome in this particular culture we knew each other from, that it's really part of the culture and we started calling it selfishly celebrating. So it's totally open in the culture of selfishly celebrating someone else. So that's making sure someone knows that they're complimented, but that you're confident enough that you're not saying, Derek, oh my gosh, I can't believe how dedicated you are on working out every day. But that's not me bashing myself and saying,
right,
I suck at going to the gym every day.
I wish I could be like you.
I wish I could be like you.
Those kind of backhanded compliments.
Exactly, which don't make the recipient of the compliment feel any better.
No, not at all.
If you've ever received a backhanded compliment.
We all have at some point, and we all know that this, thank you, question mark.
And I always feel like I need to coddle and reassure the person giving the backhanded compliment, where it's like, oh no, you are good at that. No, whatever, we're both great. Yeah. And it's when can we get to the point that we can all selfishly celebrate or selflessly celebrate each other and be like, you're right. I am good at that, but you're good at something else.
Yeah.
Or vice versa,
right.
you know? I think that leads us to a really awesome other portion of comparison I wanted to talk about is how sneaky it is. You know, with those backhanded compliments,
Mhm.
it is so sneaky to think you're doing service to someone else by complimenting them. But at the same time, you are totally dishonoring yourself, you know, and your goals and what you've gone through. So, I
Right.
mean, nothing drives me crazy more than seeing like a confident woman or a confident man that like rocks their life give not a backhanded compliment, I guess, but a compliment to someone else while at the same time dissing themselves, you know, where it's like a self-hurting compliment.
Right. And it can go up or down. You know what I mean? Like you said, someone that could be very well accomplished and they're nailing it.
Totally.
And they give kind of a, oh no, I'm not great. You're great. Or it could be you're so great. I wish I was as great as you. It can go both ways.
Yeah. I'm just saying like the person that has it figured out. Like if one of, you know, these self-help book authors that I'm reading, like if I heard them say that, I think I'd fall over, you know, it'd just be like the most confusing thing. Cause it's like, here you've gotten this figured out. And like, here you preach all these amazing things. And I surround myself with really, you know, high frequency people that are just like vibing so hard. And it makes me really sad when I hear them, you know, diss on themselves like that.
Yeah. I went through a little stage. Hannah can tell you I am horrible accepting compliments. And I think it's kind of like the cats of like the compliment world. Like the cat in the room goes to the person that hates cats. Yeah, it's hard for me to receive compliments. And so in my mind, I'm like, why do people compliment me? Not because I'm amazing. You know what I mean? But people like, oh, it drives me nuts.
Compliments came to you even though you hated them.
Exactly. And so I've been working really hard on accepting them and just saying, thank you. I appreciate that. Right. And it's interesting because I went through this phase of a couple months, maybe 6 months or a little, you know, where people would give me a compliment. I'd just say that. I'd be like, oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And if it was a backhanded compliment like that, it was so awkward because you could see the person waiting for it to come back to them. And I'm so dense about this kind of stuff that, you know, someone would say, oh, Derek, you're so good to go to the gym every day. I wish I could do that. And I'd be like, thanks. Yeah, I work really hard.
And then they're like, compliment me.
Yeah. And they're
please.
like, oh, yeah, keep it up, dude. And it's like, yeah, I will. Thanks. Yep. Every day I do. And it just makes this awkward where they just keep feeding me compliments until I'm just like, cool, well, I got to go.
But at the same time, like, I think that has served you really well at the same, like, just because you didn't buy into the crap of someone else and hopefully they learned and hopefully you honestly helped them get out of that habit because they didn't get that verification and that validation that they were hoping for. And I know I've given you those compliments, especially when we were starting out where it's like, thanks, what kind of compliment? Like I would try to test the waters and be like, so what kind of compliment sticks with Derek? Like what compliment will he actually
conducting experiments on me, huh?
Oh, endlessly. You have no idea.
Oh. But one last thing I wanted to say with that though, is that I've moved on from that stage. And this is what I think if you are a similar person to me where you hate compliments or to counter this backhanded compliment culture
or backhanded compliment
or maybe self-defeating or whatever.
I mean, a backhanded compliment is being like, wow, you sure look good for a chubby dude. Like,
right. So let's say this though, like so you're trying to give a compliment. That's a positive, but in the process, you're bringing negative on yourself, right? So what happens when you have a negative and a positive, multiply it, you still get a negative.
Yeah. It's self-deprecating compliment.
Yeah. So you always end up with a negative. Yeah. So this is what I have started doing and I've been doing it at work and I like it a lot. It makes me feel good. And I think it helps the other people that are giving these compliments. So someone says to me, oh, wow, Derek, you're so good at X. I say, oh, wow, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to be better at this because I've noticed you're very good at it and it's something completely different. You're very good at Y. So someone, you know, just like that, Derek, you're very good at X. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. You're really good at Y though. I mean, can you show me sometime or like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I get to accept a compliment. They get to give a compliment. Good. That is a good kind of relationship. And I get to turn on and I still get to give them the compliment that they're probably seeking without acknowledging any sort of tear down. So if someone says, I wish I could be good at X like you, Derek, I'd be like, oh, you know, thanks. I appreciate that, but you're really good at Y. And let's ignore the negative in you because if you want to talk about being good at X, I'll teach you. Let's talk. Let's be bros about it. but I want to learn why from you. So let's create a relationship where we have an exchange of you're good at one, I'm good at two. You teach me one, I'll teach you two. And let's, you know what I mean? Like, let's do that. And that way we're both learning from and teaching each other. And we have this positive, I send positivity and teaching your way, and you send it my way. And it just creates this good loop and a good relationship where all we do is build each other. And I've done this at work with someone in particular. Shout out to Tammy at work.
Tammy, we love
Tammy
you.
because she compliments me 100 times a day.
But how much has she challenged you?
She has. Well, that's the thing. So she started out with struggling at a certain aspect at work, right? And I started doing this little feedback thing. You experiment on me. I kind of did this on her. It's more of an experiment for myself. But I've just noticed like Tammy has grown, and she has gone from a almost struggle to leading our team at work, outperforming me at what she was complimenting me for.
Which, can I just golden star boy over here? I'm going to give you a compliment.
Don't do it.
Derek's like the best.
No, I'm not.
No, he's not, but like he is. But his whole team is amazing, and especially Tammy.
Right.
Like,
but it's just so cool to see how instead of just taking a compliment and just being, okay, thanks, or oh, thanks, yeah, you're good too, and kind of doing that way that we all naturally do, but putting a little bit of effort into it and be like, oh, like, no, thank you, I appreciate that. You're really good at this. How do you do that? And, and just having this good positivity where we build each other. Now we have a great relationship. We still compliment each other all the time. We build each other up all the time. I'm learning from her because, like I said, she is outperforming me at what she was formerly complimenting me for.
Yeah.
Guys, like it's really amazing. Just cool how it worked out that way. So it's just, to me, that's case in point, exhibit A of how this should work. So remember that, guys. Take that. If you take one thing away, we're building each other up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. No tear downs just to build someone else up. It's not worth it. Another thing I want to just talk about super quick before we wrap this up is I think if someone is tempted by comparing. Can you tell it's the end of an episode? Comparing themselves to someone else with the negative way. I think another option, and maybe like the first step to recovery for these people is to just cut it out completely.
The comparison?
Yeah. Like cut it out cold turkey. Yeah. And that could be like avoiding situations like going to a pool party or going to dinner with your more wealthy friends or whatever it may be, or even like watching who you're surrounding yourself with or who you're following on social media. Like,
I think that's a bigger one right there.
Right. Or like, yes. Yeah. So, but I think the whole moral or this portion of the story is, I think people's first thought, it's almost like when you quit sugar or like you want to quit sugar or something in your diet, you want to quit something. So you're like, I'm going to go gung ho and cut cold turkey because that's what's best. And like,
right. I
think like it's an interesting, like I'm kind of two-sided on that. And I understand like the reasoning behind it. Like I've done that for certain things. And so you might feel the urge to like purge your magazines or like go through and purge your following. And I totally understand that. And I understand that train of thought. And I actually, like I said, have done this. And what I agree with is changing your situation to make it more uplifting and positive by, unfollowing the people who make you feel crappy or, unsubscribing to the magazines that really don't uplift you or help you with anything. They're just more images for you to compare yourself to or, financial situations that you're like, oh, I'm not there yet. And I'm angry about it. If they cause negative feelings, that's what we're talking about is
right.
You can compare yourself and you can follow the people that, you compare yourself to as long as it creates motivation and positive feelings where you feel like you got the kick in the pants every time you see a post and you're like, yes, that's what I'm going for. Right. I'm going to figure out how to get there. If it causes negative feelings, like I get it. Unfollow those people, unsubscribe, do whatever you need to do. And then just make sure that like you're taking care of yourself that way and making sure all your situations are positive and uplifting.
And I was just going to throw in with that a real world example that I've done myself, because I went through this with Instagram, right? I'm not a huge Facebook guy, but I'm Instagram like everybody else.
Which, and even that you don't even.
I don't post. I'm not a, yeah. Anyways. So yeah, I followed a lot of pages and a pretty good mix, a little bit of everything. Right. And sometimes I would see these posts that would get me discouraged about things. And so I did a purge, but this is how I did it. And I think this is how I, just Derek would recommend to people if they're looking to clean out their social media.
I'm glad you said Derek. So then people know.
Because this is just me. This is what works for me, because I still, I'm human and can suffer from the comparison bug. So I unfollowed somebody or a lot of people that my rule of thumb is, sure, they can post cars, houses, their fitness progress pics, whatever it is. Do they have an uplifting message behind it? Like the caption. So check the caption, guys. Check, what is this person all about? Are they posting just to post? Are they posting to say, look what I got? Or are they posting to say, guys, cool picture, thank you, but here is the message behind it. Here is what I'm trying to teach. Here's the positivity. I grabbed your attention with this picture. Whatever it is, it's a good picture. That's besides the point. But now that I've got your attention on this picture, check out this caption, because I'm helping, I'm uplifting, I'm pushing you forward, I'm motivating you. So if that's the point, I'll follow them still, even though you could put two identical pictures next to each other if they're from different accounts. And the one is just, look at my sweet new ride. And the other one says, I earned this, and this was my dream car for my whole life, and it took me 30 years to get. I did this, and this is my story, and this is how you can do it. And it motivates me. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Just like you said, I can do this. I can do that. Then yeah, I'll follow that person. So that's a real world example of how you could do a little purge and kind of kick some others out. Read the captions. What's the person about? What are they trying to teach me? And if they're not trying to teach you or uplift you or push you, then why have it? Why participate?
Yeah. And something I don't agree with or endorse about this whole thing. No.
Oh, not with me.
Not with you. Not with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. No, but just this whole like radically purging something. Something that I don't agree with, even though it's healthy, is the unhealthy side of it, where you can expect that if you purge everything and you're really trying to be uplifted, but that won't completely change the situation as a whole, and it won't take away your temptations. It will make it harder for you to have a resource to compare to, but at the same time, you have to dig deep and look inward and see what the root of the comparison is. It starts from the inside. So you can change your environment, you can change your situations, you can change your following, but I promise if that's an issue for you, there will be an outlet somehow, and it's going to be really surprising. It's going to be weird what you're going to start comparing yourself to, or how you're going to be able to get that outlet, but it's going to happen, and it's going to sneak and seep its way back in.
You got to treat the cause, not the symptoms. Exactly.
And you need to choose to make the more difficult but overall better choice of putting in the hard work and looking inward, as you just change yourself instead of just what's happening to you and around you. Change what's going on the inside,
Yeah, for sure.
And why am I thinking this? And why is this a priority for me to compare myself in a negative way and not feel motivated to change anything, but I'm just letting myself get down? There's, yeah.
Well, it's like you said, all day. The purge stuff, and this will be our last note, so we can wrap it up and we'll have some final words. But, so like we said, okay, take action, right? You have this thing. I'm going to take action. I made my plan. Well, my plan is to purge. My plan is to get rid of everything negative in my life. Great. I think that's a huge social thing right now. It's going around, get the toxicity out of your life. It's the people, it's the situations. And I don't agree with that, because you are saying I'm going to change everybody else and not myself.
That's a very interesting millennial way to look at things.
Yeah, but everybody does it. I know, I just joke, but
yes.
But to agree and compound with what you were just saying, though, it's you need to change yourself. So if you're saying, okay, Hannah Derek, I'm going to take my action. I went to the gym. I didn't feel good. My action is to not go to the gym. You are completely misunderstanding the point here, that stop trying to change everybody else. Change yourself for the better. Better yourself. What is your action plan to improve yourself? And that's kind of if you condense it into one sentence of what we're trying to tell you, that is it.
And I mean, granted, like if the gym you're going to makes you feel really crappy, continue finding spaces and places that you can continue to work towards your goals that don't make you feel crappy. You know, like
sure.
One of the gyms I used to teach at made me as the instructor feel crappy. Like, so I had to, like, I eventually, after 2 years of teaching there, left because, you know, I only taught there once a week, but the night before I taught, I would get this like pit in my stomach. I would remember I'd want to pick fights with you. Like we would always fight until after I taught that class because I was so on edge and so just angry. I was probably constipated until I taught that class.
Oh my word.
No, but I'm just saying like there was so much angst and like anxiousness about that. Not even because of like comparing or anything, just because of the negativity. And so I, as a trainer, have felt that. But then I know of a lot of people, like the other places that I've kept around, people find like it as a haven. You know, they're like, I love how, you know, women of shapes X, Y, and Z can work here or work out here, and ages and jobs. Like there's everyone from, you know, unemployed to brain surgeons, you know, who specialize in the spinal cord. Like it's amazing. And then like men will come, you know, not with their wives, but just they will come because it's something new to them. You know, it's a safe enough environment, and these are safe enough places that people have sought us out and felt comfortable, which it's very cool. So it's like, yeah, granted, like don't just quit the gym, but if the gym is a bad place for you, then find something new. Like continue to work on your goals. Like, ultimately, what are you quitting and what are you purging?
You are still taking the action of teaching and having the job and becoming a better trainer. Yeah. And then, but it wasn't a good environment to enable those actions you were taking. So just like you said, find a new gym, still take the action of working out, but maybe this gym or that gym or the gym at all isn't good for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I still showed up and taught amazing classes, but it was just like,
you shifted. You made a good shift to a better enabling. I mean, you did it and eventually you moved on to something that was better.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I didn't just teach. I didn't quit teaching altogether.
That's what I'm saying. You kept with your action and just went to an environment that could better enable that action.
Exactly. So I think, you know, guests and consumers are able to do that as well.
Yeah. I think, totally. And I just wanted to say, so this place that you love so much, what is it? Give a quick shout out to, less than a minute.
I have multiple, but like one of them is Core Body Pilates.
Okay.
Amazing.
You instruct there.
Yeah. Pilates. Awesome. I've been there for almost 2.5 years. I guess I could say I've been there for 2 years. This is easy. Yeah. Rebel House is another place that's a super huge community. Really awesome. And I think am I forgetting anybody? No, I mean, and then just my personal training gym where it's trainers only and no one's there that shouldn't be. And I mean,
and you create that environment. But, I mean, so that's awesome.
Yeah, there are dogs there, so I mean,
how can you not be?
How can you not be happy? But yeah, if you're interested in finding me or finding where I teach, like find me on Instagram, Health by Hannah. I update my schedule weekly on there, just because I'll sub or have classes, you know, whatever. But
cool. Well, let's wrap up. Any last words, and then roll into where else they can find you.
I guess I just want to remind everybody that if you do choose to compare yourself, make sure it's in an uplifting and beneficial way to you. It's constructive comparing. It's not just damaging. It's not the type of comparing that's going to make you want to stay in bed all day the next day. You know, make sure it's the type that like you wake up before your alarm because you are so stoked on life to start going on your goals. This is just another way and another motivator to get started. You know, use it as a tool. If you're someone who it's kind of crippling for you right now, just know that we've all been there and that you have support, but just go about creating that better environment for you in a safe and sustainable way. But reach out if you have any questions or need any support. Last week, I think I responded to like 6 direct messages of just like, of just questions. Like so
Awesome.
many cute girls, like we're just like, what do I do? You know, I'm struggling with this. And it's like, I loved that. So please
Right.
just.
It's not like you're charging them for online coaching. You just want to help.
Heck
You
no.
just want to help people.
No, I just like making friends and I want my friends to all be happy beams of light. And that's all I want to do.
How do these people contact you if they have questions, they want to talk to you?
Always direct message me. That's the best. Slide into my DMs.
What was your Instagram again?
Health by Hannah. It's health by BY Hannah with an H at the end. All the rest of my branding is Health X Hannah. So it can get confusing, but just know that the X stands for by, like measurements or dimensions.
Just like your website, healthxhannah.com.
Exactly. But
Cool.
It's Health by Hannah. Yeah. And just know that you are in a safe place when you come to Health by Hannah. And that one of my favorite hashtags is my community hashtag of you can sweat with us instead of like the mean girls, you can't sit with us.
Yeah, that's
line.
cool.
So just know every body is included in Health by Hannah. And while never mind. I don't need to get on my soapbox.
Yeah, so cool. That's funny. That reminded me of that movie Dumplin'.
Yes.
And that little saying was every body is a swimsuit body.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of that. I thought that's cool. It's kind of positivity.
Yeah. I'm glad you finished that movie without me. I'll have to go.
It's still there. So my last words, guys, was just you need to look inward first and look at what you can change about yourself. It's all about your mindset and your perspective on this comparison. Stop worrying about everybody else. Worry about yourself. What am I doing to get there? If you can use it as a competitive motivation, that's great. If you can't, don't try to, because it won't serve you. So you need to play into your natural strengths. That's just how I am naturally wired. Chesty's growling at us to be done. Find a role model and try to apply the lessons, the core values and lessons that they have, like the hard work, the dedication and style, maybe to your own life, as well as make an action plan. Those actions are what's going to make you feel good and better about yourself, not trying to change everybody else around you. And last thing was just to, take the positivity that are people trying to send your way. And if it has that little bit of negative thing attached to it, where they're expressing they don't feel good about themselves, don't even address the negative, cut it off, take the positivity, appreciate it, be grateful for it, and then turn around and, compliment them for something that they are great at, and just turn it into this feedback loop of sharing and building and growing together. And that's how you create true relationships, and true friends and groups that uplift each other, instead of, these groups of friends that aren't always friends, because it's just comparison and who is this and what are they doing? And we're great to each other's faces, but not so much on the side. So, it's okay to go to change situations, but only if those situations are changing to better enable the actions you're taking. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to find me and reach out to me personally, I am on Instagram at Derek Spahn, just DEREK SPOHN. That's pretty much it. Check out the Twitter. It's just at Wellthy Podcast. We do tweet there pretty often. That's kind of an outlet I'm more comfortable with, because I like to talk more than I like to take pictures of things or myself. Also, if you just have general questions at all, we have a email, wellthypodcast@gmail.com. And you can send pretty much anything our way, suggestions, questions, comments. Lastly, guys, just please rate, review, subscribe, help us grow. We're not looking to get rich off of this. We have our own businesses and things that we are doing. So we're not doing this for money. We want to help people change the culture that is surrounding both our industries of money and getting healthy and well. So help us grow the movement and get behind it and promote wealthy living.
And please just tell somebody about our podcast. Podcasts spread like wildfire with word of mouth. So please, if you like us, or even if you don't really like us but want us to grow and get better, let us grow and get better with you and your feedback. The more listeners we get, the more feedback we get. We would love to be able to show up and be the podcast that you want if we're not that already. And hey, if we are, make sure to tell everybody that you know and their mom about our podcast. And we love you guys, and we just want to give you the power to live well and wealthy. I'm Hannah.
This is Derek, guys. Until next time, have a good one.
See ya.